I'll let Greg give me the thumbs up once he sees if it's live, and we'll be ready. Okay. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. You may be seated. Just to start here, today's date is Monday, July the 7th, 2025, and this is the meeting for the Tell City Common Council. First item is adoption of the agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda? Connie, did you have something?
She already put the
Got it
public hearing on here.
Yep, I see it. Okay.
Yes.
So we've got that on there. So is there any changes to the agenda then as presented other than that? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion made by Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brian. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda stands approved. Next is presentation of minutes for your approval. You should have two sets, one from June the 3rd and another one from June the 16th. Are there any changes or corrections to those minutes as presented?
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion made by Larry. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes stand approved. All right, moving right on down. Now we got comments of citizens. We do have one comment here for citizens. Charlie Ballmeister's here. He wanted me to put on the agenda, but I had forgotten. And he's like, well, we talked about this morning. He's like, I'll just do comments citizens. And I was like, that works too. So
That works fine.
we're glad to have Charlie here. So he's got some things he wants to bring up to the council.
Yes. Charles Ballmaster, I represent Tell City on the Perry County Animal Welfare Board. As you have known in the past, I've presented about a new county ordinance. I'm here tonight to tell you that the commissioners have okayed it. They're going to advertise to adopt that ordinance. Now what I'm doing is going here tonight, next week to Candleton and Troy, and asking them to revise their ordinance. We're not expecting you to rewrite a 24-page ordinance that the county has, but we would like, and Jeff and I have talked about this along with Chris, the last revision, there was one other change, and as soon as we get that on there, because I met with Derek and also Alan Malone to go over the legal aspects, and the one question came up, and I brought it up myself, on page 4 in the definitions, it talks about animal control officer, and that's throughout the, so what we've done now is put that in as animal control officer / law enforcement officer. So that covers all of our law enforcement officers in the county. So basically, that's really the only change that, we've made since I sent that copy to you. As soon as I get the revised copy, I will get it out to you. It looks like they're going to try to adopt it on August 4th at their meeting if they get it advertised. I think they were a little surprised that they're going to have to post 24 pages.
It's going to be a very expensive legal notice.
Yes.
That's like a whole newspaper
I
page.
will have
at
to
least.
review that and see.
It's got penalties
We
and
may
fees,
be
yeah.
able to do that when it's a website. We may not have to do newspaper.
Well, we're not adopting theirs.
No.
Yeah.
Ours would be
Much smaller.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
We're just going to add some revisions to it.
Yeah.
So ours will be as fast.
And just one other thing, like I said, I'd like for you guys to start working on yours and try to mimic some of the wordage. I spoke to them today. A couple of the commissioners, I think, thought that you were going to do the very same ordinance. I said, no, that wasn't even in the talk, because there are things in that ordinance that don't pertain to the towns or cities.
Right.
So-
Well, more so farm animal kind of a thing,
Right.
situation.
We already have ordinances that
Right.
protect livestock.
So, and I know you've been talking about updating your animal ordinance anyway, and I will commend you, the one statement there, and I'm going to try to get that on the other town and city ordinance in Cannleton about if you feed a stray animal, you become responsible. I think that's an excellent, we've been saying that forever, now it's in writing that we can prove it.
It's in our ordinance currently under the definitions part of it. It's like page 2 or 3. I don't
We can
remember.
hammer it home now.
Huh?
We can definitely hammer it home now.
Oh.
I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
No, I was supposed to get Charlie a copy of
That's
something,
fine.
and
I'm
It
in
didn't-
no big hurry, but just one other thing I'd like to advise. Besides the ordinance, we've also made a proposal to the commissioners and the county council of hiring a part-time animal control officer. We know because of budget, it's probably not going to go, but this is something that the board has been working on. I've always described this as a triangle. The base of the triangle was the shelter. One side was the ordinance. So hopefully in August, we'll have 2/3 of it, and we'll work on that third side of it for the future. And my last comments are, I know every community's having this problem, but we definitely have a cat situation.
Yeah. You shared with me out in the county the situation where there were 30 kittens?
30 inbred
Kittens.
kittens. And
That's a lot.
and doing my research, a kitten in a year's time can have 15 kittens themselves. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to really, I know it's not going to make some people happy, but we're going to have to make some hard decisions in the future. Thank you.
All right. Council, do you have any questions for Charlie while he's here? I know he's your representation, and I just want to make sure, and you can call him too. You don't have to ask him if you think of something, because as we
Anytime.
work on revising our animal ordinance, we'll get you, once Charlie gets me the county's one that's been revised, I'll make sure y'all get it, but I'll also get you a copy of ours. And maybe you could kind of put them side by side and make some just notes that you might like to see in ours, and then we can have a meeting, discuss it. We probably won't get ours adopted until October, I'm guessing.
I understand, and as I told the commissioners, I've been part of this board for 2 years, and we've worked on it, and it finally came to a point we had to do something.
Yeah.
I was getting tired of playing ping pong ball
Well-
back and forth.
You know, and Philip's not here, but I called him today, and I noticed there were somebody selling puppies on the side of the road, out front of, on the shopping center up here by the bank.
And we addressed that issue, that it would probably fall under your permit for selling. That would be the quickest response to that.
But I like to put it, just clean it up and put it in that ordinance too, so it's
Right.
not, you don't have to go look in 5 different places, see which one can you apply, it's just, there it is.
Right.
Because I asked the police, and they said, I don't know if they had a hard time trying to find something on it, because I thought, this person had 5, 10 dogs, puppies,
Mm-hmm.
quite a few.
And I think this was last year, one of the board members actually got into a heated discussion with someone from Kentucky that had a bunch of dogs. And when we looked into it, and I had talked to Derek, and we thought the best solution was your ordinance that you have, that they have to have a permit to sell.
Peddler's license, no different than a peddler.
Yeah, but we could reference that, at least in the
Right.
ordinance, the new animal
Because
ordinance.
trying to go through an ordinance, a pet ordinance would take a long time, but you have a statute about the permit, fine them for the permit. Most of those people will pick up and leave.
Well, and that just goes to the next community that may not have it, or we just need to, that's something where the whole county needs to have something.
And I think I will address that issue there with the other entities.
Yeah.
That they need to look at something like that also, if they have that. But probably Tell City's going to have it more often because of the shopping center and the highway.
This is the first time I've seen that in probably a couple years. I mean, I'm not saying it's not
Last year,
happened.
there was one up
I didn't see
at
it.
Taco Bell.
This is where they were today.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. This is the first time I said,
And
I
it was,
didn't see that last year.
at that time, it was a group of people from Kentucky.
I didn't get a chance to really
Yeah.
see where they were
So-
from. I hated to see that happening, because, I just want to make sure if someone gets an animal like that, the way it's done, the animal's healthy, obviously, but it's being taken care of. We don't want someone to get an animal that's not going to take care of it. And those situations can cause that to happen pretty easily.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
By the way, folks, while Charlie's here, he was instrumental in getting me some census data here a month ago that enabled us to update or recertify our awards, so thank you very much for that.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you. All right, no further comments of citizens, so we'll move on to committee and ward reports. So we're going to start first, also your partners in pride. We'll start first with Larry Kleeman.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I did make the mayor had asked us to drive our wards prior to heavy trash pickup week. So I did that and submitted a listing to both the mayor and to Steve Goodson. And I don't know, I think I had 12 or 13 on the list. Earlier this evening, I spoke to the Board of Works about a couple of properties that, in my opinion, should be demolished. They're beyond just sprucing up. So anyway, I wanted to make that report. On June the 19th, I met at the request of Laura Taylor with Laura and NDOT officials regarding the Highway 237 and 37 intersection. If you'll recall, Laura started a petition last month, I believe, and I participated in gathering some signatures on that petition, so she invited me to go to the meeting. We met for probably 90 minutes with NDOT representatives out at their office out by the Derby Junction, and had a good meeting. I don't think that they'll end up putting a stoplight up because it doesn't meet their fairly specific criteria. I do believe, based on the conversations we had at that meeting, they're going to make some safety improvements, such as rumble strips on 237 before the stop sign, putting up double stop signs. Currently, they're on 237, and all of this applies to 237. There's currently a stop sign on the right, and they're talking about putting a stop sign up on the left side of the road too, so they're double stop signs. Wrapping those stop signs with red reflective tape, refreshing the markings out there on 237 as far as stop ahead, because the caution light, the red part of it is on 237 and on Stone Road across the street, or across Highway 37. And then he was going to check, there's a advance warning of the stop sign coming ahead, and he was going to check that, and if it didn't have yellow reflective tape on it, he was going to put yellow reflective tape on that. And then the last thing that he talked about is he was going to check and see if they had in stock lights that could be, he talked about affixing lights. There are two poles out there that hold the flashing light, and they could mount lights on that, because at night there's no light out there. It's a very dark intersection, especially when it's raining. So it was a very positive meeting. We'll have to wait and see what they respond with, but it was a very positive meeting, and I was pleased. They had done a traffic study out there, actually the week before we met with them, and he shared that information with us. So anyway, I was pleased to participate, and so anyway, I just want to make that report. June the 20th, attended the J-Mart Travels ribbon cutting and open house at their new office. He's been doing, Jason Martin's been doing travel services for quite some time, but he finally now has an office in his home there that he's working out of, and he's hired Lisa Noble as an assistant. So I appreciated meeting with them and seeing their operation, as well as I believe all the council members attended the sports complex dedication on June the 24th. Also, I noticed I actually saw the mayor up there. He was doing an inspection, but the demolition of the old hospital is coming along well. I hope they'll be done soon. I saw some pounding today up there. And what came to mind, and I'm not sure what the procedure is of doing this, but that road from the highway to the old hospital is called either Hospital Road, I believe.
It is.
I think that should be renamed to avoid if there's, I don't know that it would cause any potential confusion with somebody looking for the hospital, but since there's no hospital there, I think we ought to at
Change
least
it to
look at
Demolished Hospital
renaming
Road.
this street. Okay. My partner in pride for the month of July is Donna Pruitt at 107 Romont Way. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Larry. Mike Finley.
Yes. Like the rest of us, like Larry said, I was honored to be able to participate in the dedication of the complex. Just as proud of the complex was my admiration for the speakers. Every one of them was heartfelt and it was impressive. Then following that, I got to participate in the first tournament at the complex. And again, pride at the comments made by people at the ball games. I think no telling how many people, I'd say 200 people were there, and coming back the next day on Sunday because of the rain out, which helped businesses. They spent the night at the hotels, they had time to shop, and it's going to be well, just based on the first tournament, it's promising. Looks like it's going to be very successful. We can be proud of it. See, also, last month I reminded people about the drop-off of yard waste and cardboard that the city is kind enough to provide for us. I also wanted to remind people, from participating myself, of the abuse of it. It could result in ruining it for everyone. There's trash in with the cardboard, which either eliminates the whole lot from being processed. There's trash in with the limbs, which, eventually, if it continues like that, the city, can't afford to pay people to separate it out. So I think we should all appreciate the service that we have. Like at the last meeting, one of the two main questions I have to respond to, in addition to my neighbor's that yard and house is a mess. They want to know about noise on 37, on Main Street, people who don't have, either don't have mufflers or are proud to make loud noises on the street. It stops all conversations. If you're down here, for example, talking to someone, they accelerate out of the stoplight, or they'll accelerate to the stoplight and then brake. Of course, I just noticed it there because of our shop. But I don't know if there's, I asked the assistant that if there was any meter or something that the police could be armed with, they would determine this is excessive, this is not, and know how and when to stop. Maybe just to give a warning, but repeatedly, eventually lead to a citation.
It can be a hard thing to enforce at times, Charlie, but you kind of got to almost catch it in the act, too.
Yeah.
That's,
May I address the meter situation?
yeah.
Gerald will remember this because we're old timers. Years ago, they still have the original one at the department. Back then, you had to be certified to use it. Bob Hackle was the last person to be certified on that. That tells you how long ago that was used.
Yeah.
And from a legal standpoint, Jeff, is it something like that easily enforceable, or is it kind
It's
of?
very difficult to enforce. Even in this day and age, your decibel meters, it takes a very special decibel meter for law enforcement because it doesn't just measure the decibels. You have to get a reading that is kind of a pinpoint in time.
Just
So you have to have a
like speed.
decibel meter that can say, all right, pop, right there, we've got it, and have a printout. Because, you can have your decibel meter out, and if it doesn't have that, somebody could say, well, there was a plane going over when that happened. And then you, yeah. I am sympathetic to our constituents. I agree, my office was on Main Street for years, and there were folks that took great joy in, I believe, harassing everybody up and down Main Street, or at least while they were driving up through there. Fortunately, it's relatively sporadic, and I believe, my personal belief is that if the officers observe anything even remotely egregious, they're going to stop them anyway, and perhaps even issue a citation. There is some merit to the thought of issue a citation. If you want to spend the time fighting me on it, well, we'll have that fight. So you got to kind of balance the getting the perfect evidence is probably difficult and expensive for the city. Issuing a citation or two, hey, put up, we do have a couple of ordinance, noise
a
ordinance
nuisance.
signs. Yeah.
We could also, a lot of it could fall under the nuisance ordinance.
It
Loud
could.
music or-
If I'm a property owner and I have a neighbor that has a hot rod and comes out every morning and spins his tires and revs his motor, there's a civil statute. I can sue that neighbor for the nuisance noise violation. So there's all kinds of stuff out there. It's just, it's difficult. It's a slippery slope. There's,
It's not like speed where they can,
they,
Even that's got its own, some of its things. It could be-
it's much more common. All of our police vehicles do have radar speed control devices, I believe. Mayor could probably tell me if that's correct or not.
They have to
None of them have
tune them or
noise.
whatever every time. Yeah, it's-
They do have to be recertified, just like our breathalyzer machines have to be recertified. So the noise, that one's just tougher.
What I'll do, I will, being part of AIM, which you all went to that conference a couple years ago and so forth, I'll send out they have this listserv. You ever seen that people post stuff?
Municipal now.
What are communities doing about this? Maybe we'll get something back that works for other communities and kind of copy that or see if it works for us or get some ideas. It's no cost to us. And it's good research, and that's a service that's provided as being part of AIM. Let's get some use out of it and see what we get. So
I mean, with technology today, surely to goodness they have
there may be the coolest,
noise
greatest thing.
detectors,
Well, it's certifying
The
too.
trick is just pinpointing which one it is. Was it that car? Was it the truck over the block over that blew its horn? Was it that's the trick.
But how does these,
radar detector.
these speed limit signs that we bought just a new one not long ago, how
Mm-hmm.
does that detect your speed going by it?
Oh, it's got a radar gun, just like
Okay.
similar to a radar
I mean,
gun in a police car.
You can't tell me that there aren't probably noise detectors that,
Oh, there are. And
Does
if we had signs that had a noise detector on it,
Yeah,
they're driving
and
by,
the-
it would be flashing saying, you're too damn loud.
the ex-
Charlie, do they have something that will triangulate between GPS and like that gun?
That's beyond my technology.
That
My
would-
guess is they
probably
have
would
it.
have something
I
like
can
that.
tell you where that was used a lot, and Gerald may remember, down at the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest
Yeah.
area where we had noise
Yeah.
complaints.
Spinning donuts
you
and
know,
everything, yeah.
We would get complaints about music, and
Well, and the
You know,
answer to
we-
your
we
question
would
is,
go
do they
knock
have the
on doors to
technology
get
to
the
do
music
that?
turned
Yes. I think the
And
$8,000 light poles that Andy was talking about at the Board of Works meeting are probably less expensive than the equipment.
But what I'll do, just for sake of time, but to help everybody, I'd love to hear what other communities are doing.
Yeah.
Let's get some ideas.
Yeah.
Again, that service is provided us as part of our, being part of AIM, and let's see what they say, because none of you are wrong. This is an issue at times, and it'd be nice to have a tool or something to back up anything that needs enforced.
Yeah.
I mean, some things are out of our control,
Hey, my office is at 12th and Mozart, Mayor. I hear the loudest of the vehicles in town nowadays. And some of them don't intend to be loud, they're just great big old trucks
In
with
this case,
diesel.
it's
and-
so close to the police department
Yeah.
that it's almost saying, okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta put a plug in for Tell City Police here. I know from time to time our officers do pull people over for excessive noise. I know they do.
They have.
Now, they probably just issue a warning, and I wouldn't necessarily discourage them.
Yeah,
But
that would
it's
work.
just, pull a couple people over, word gets out there, the folks that are intentionally doing it, that word's gonna get around.
And then my partners in pride is Jane Pund at 1418 17th Street. I got the right address this time. I did that on purpose to take the pressure off of Brian.
Thanks, Mike.
1418 17th Street. She erected that building about a score of years ago and on the foundation of her parents and I think even grandparents. So it's a beautiful place now. And she takes care of it herself.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Philip Simpson,
Yes,
Ward 3.
yes, you got it. Not much of a report, just Partners in Pride.
Okay.
So we got Dan and Sarah Hall at 832 9th Street for last month.
Oh, great. That was last month's, okay.
And then Tim and Amanda Hall at 738 10th Street. There's no relation, but they're
Oh.
both Halls. But,
Okay. Cool.
But yeah,
That's great.
so
Well, thank you.
congratulations to them.
Did you get it, Connie? Okay. All right. Thank you, Philip.
Yeah.
All right, Brian Steen, Ward 2.
Monday, this past week, I attended that IDOT meeting out in Noble. I couldn't stay very long because I had another appointment. But I thought you were probably gonna fill everybody in
Yep.
later with what you.
Yep, well, I'm waiting for NDOT
You
to
went
give.
for the walk, I was.
I'll wait for NDOT. They're gonna give a little bit of a, I don't call it a press release, but I'll let them kind of say what
Okay.
needs to be said, how it's said, but.
But what
yeah.
they had was interesting, what they went over when I was there.
Yeah.
But I also want to report, I think the fireworks were wonderful this year. I don't know if everybody got to see them, but I thought they were great.
Yeah.
And good job for doing that.
Thank you.
And my partners in pride this month is Dean and Katie Rothgerber of 838 31st Street. And that's the right address, Mike.
Well, you guys get an extra star to your board
Probably for
tonight.
your class too, isn't he?
Huh?
Isn't he in your class?
Yeah, well, that's why I knew that. I knew when he graduated.
Give him a couple more years, he'll learn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
That's it.
And Councilman at Large, Gerald Yakley.
My Partners in Pride is 706 16th Jane Kessens. It's got a nice home there.
17th, you said?
706 16th,
Oh, 16th.
yeah. That is, for FYI, I've turned that street in to be paved too.
Good.
If we get money. I did attend the ballpark presentation, and I did help work at the concession stand for the first. It was amazing. I think we run out of food. We were sending people to go get more food.
Like
And
twice.
more food. And
So-
more food. Yeah.
We learned a lot.
Yeah, and the mayor he was writing down stuff that we needed that we didn't think of to make a list. So it'd take a while, but a lot of good comments from visiting teams. They really liked it. They liked our town. And as the mayor stated earlier, the local businesses got an increase. So maybe we get that guy to build that other hotel.
That's right.
So that's all I have.
What's the status on that?
I haven't spoken to him for a little bit, so he's been on my list to reach out to and get kind of the.
Happened to run
updated-
into him yesterday and I gave him a little tease about it, but that's all.
Oh, okay.
Do we get much of a fee for the guy who puts on the tournament, or?
We get the proceeds or profits, I guess you could say, from the concession stand.
Okay.
So any profits that's made off that we get. They actually, the gentleman, or even a company in general, they rent the fields. They pay, I don't know if it's $125 or $150 per field per day. And then, so they basically like to ring the complex.
That goes to the city.
Yes, that would go
Yes.
to the city, but we provide the concessions and we get all the money from the concessions. We also provide someone to clean the restrooms and I guess you'd say chalk the fields, drag the
Yeah.
fields,
Prep- field
prep the
prep.
field, that kind of stuff too. But they pay for the umpires. That's on the, so it's almost like renting a park or renting the Sheridan Center, you know, in a way, but it's private in essence because they are renting it and they do have a gate fee. It can vary by what tournament or who's putting it on, what that may be. They determine that. But
How did you determine the 175?
oh, it was either 150, 125 or 150. The Parks Board, they set that. I don't remember which one it is.
I don't
Comparable to
remember
other
either, but I know
communities?
they're
It
in
is.
charge of it.
It is comparable to other communities. I do know that, but I can't remember which number it was because I know they kicked both numbers around. Yeah. So it's good. So anything else, Gerald? Sorry.
Yes, I just wrote it down. I drove around yesterday and looked at some stuff like you asked us to do. I noticed they moved some of the railroad cars finally on Sixth Street.
Oh, I've not noticed that yet. So I
Yeah,
haven't been down
there's
there.
still a couple down there, and I think they can move them behind the depot, or there is room up past Maxon's. They've got like 3 or 4 up there. I don't care about the cars, but you can't see.
Yeah, I know.
That intersection's dangerous.
Well, Jeff and I are working on the old depot site. If you go up, if you look at it in an aerial, it kind of curves, okay? Probably when it went up to the depot at that time.
Right.
When the flood wall was built or whatever. We have somebody interested in purchasing that, which then the port would put basically straighten that track out, but still leave that curve in there. And those cars could be put on that curve then, kind of, I guess you call it a spur,
Yeah.
maybe,
It's a
is the
spur.
term?
Yeah, it's a spur.
So that, Jeff and I have been, we're on top, we're not on top of it, we're on top of it. We're getting that, something to bring before the council, the Board of Works.
There's something in the air, let's put it that way.
There you
It's
go.
Not quite there yet, but there's something in the air.
So that'd also help what you're saying, because you're not wrong, because I went down there to, they was doing heavy trash pickup, I just want to stop and talk to them and see how it was going and see it. Yeah,
They moved, I think they moved 2 or 3. There's only like 2 or 3 left down there, down in.
yeah, they
the-
must have just did it within the last couple of weeks then, 'cause I don't remember.
Yeah, in the 1100 block of 6th, I think,
That sounds about right,
yeah.
right there at Lafayette.
I noticed they're replacing the railroad ties when you go through that 66 in Troy.
Oh,
They're
okay.
doing a lot of tie replacement along there. That was probably the problem, that was one of the problems, in addition to the bridge,
Yeah,
that limited the speed that they could go and how far they could go.
they're getting there.
That's
I've
all.
heard the powers that be say we're gonna have that again.
Yeah,
We're gonna have the train back.
that's my understanding too, so
Yeah.
it's a good investment.
Another something for people to do when they come to play softball,
That's right.
take the train ride.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
All right, any statements or comments from the clerk, treasurer, city attorney?
No?
I attended the Municipal Lawyers Conference, it will now be 2 weeks ago in Indy. Was a very good seminar, it always is. I was elected to be a member of the Board of Directors of the Municipal Lawyers Association. I'm going to
You
try my
deserve it.
best not to abuse my power.
Abuse.
All right.
You're a mess.
Yes,
Oh, my God,
that's the
dude.
What
truth.
are the perks associated with that position?
Pop-
Criticism?
Popularity of being voted onto it, or I don't know if that's a perk or a curse, we'll
Get to
see.
drive to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Okay, just real quick before we move on to the public hearing and so forth. My Partners in Pride is going to be Home Mutual Insurance. They're on Main Street. They've been in this community for well over 100 years. And they've always been a really good team player when it comes to sponsoring events. I think they actually sponsor the Citizens Police Academy 100%, don't they, Connie?
Yes.
Pretty much, if not, providing shirts and stuff, but they sponsor events at Schweitzer Fest, other ball teams, and they've really been a good partner in giving back to the community. And they keep their building always looking very nice, and we're very glad to have them in Tell City. And so I just want to recognize them for that and award them my Partners in Pride this month. I'll have to get you some dates because I just went blank, but AIM is going to be having their summit, their idea summit. So I will be sending y'all some information. I think it's in October.
I think it's in October.
But I don't remember the exact date. But I just kind of get a count of who wants to go, so as we start making any reservations or turning things in, we can make sure we got enough in our budget first off It's going to be at French Lick this year, so it's a lot closer.
I might go.
Last year it was in Fort Wayne, which was pretty much the other end of the state. So just want to make sure y'all are aware of that. I'll get you the date so you guys can put on your calendar if you're able. We'd love to have you go. It's a good learning opportunity. You went to Indianapolis a couple years ago for the boot camp, I guess, what it was called then. So it's close by, and hope you all can make that. I'll save the rest of my report for under mayor's report at the bottom. So we'll move on to the public hearing, establishment of the ordinance for yard waste. Jeff does have this with him here.
I think what we need to do here, Mayor, is recess our council meeting and open the public hearing. I do not see a whole lot of citizens here to speak, so we can have a very brief public hearing.
Okay, so is there a motion to suspend the meeting?
Motion?
Motion by Brian, second by Philip. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we're, have the public hearing now for the establishment of the ordinance for yard waste. I didn't write down the ordinance number, Jeff, I'm sorry. Connie, what's the ordinance number?
The
on that?
ordinance number will be 1226.
1220, thank you. Okay.
And I did advertise it in the local newspaper, so the public hearing was advertised in the paper.
Okay.
So the public hearing having been, notice having been provided, we would not have to read the ordinance. Right now is the time. If anybody wishes to come forward, speak for or against this ordinance, they may do so.
Motion to close the public hearing and
Consider the ordinance.
Okay, we have a motion to close the public hearing and reconvene the council meeting?
council meeting, yeah.
Okay.
That was the word I was looking for.
There you go.
Reconvene. It's not a word we use every day. And Mike, were you seconding that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we're back into the council meeting now. So now we'll move down to old business, item A, ordinance for yard waste. So now that we've had the hearing, we can take action on the ordinance itself. Jeff, we've already kind of read some of this, right?
I believe that I read it at our last meeting, and there may have been an edit.
There were some changes that needed to be done
Yeah.
after the last.
But we've already had first reading,
Correct.
right? Connie, did we have that? We haven't?
No, they just went over it.
That's right, we didn't.
We didn't have, you just, that you
I was gonna
read
say,
it,
yes,
but
I
it wasn't
remember
an
now,
ordinance
I stopped
reading.
us from having first reading because we
Yes.
hadn't had our public meeting, so now we
Oh,
have.
that's right. So you want to do first reading of it then, right?
I couldn't be happier.
I knew you couldn't. That's part of that AIM prestige of being on that board. You get to read these.
Yeah.
All right, so before he reads the ordinance, is any questions? Okay, is there a motion for first reading of ordinance 1226?
Motion.
Motion by Brian, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gerald. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, first reading.
Ordinance number 1226, ordinance establishing limb and yard waste collection and drop-off policies. Whereas it is the desire of the city of Tell City by and through its street department to establish certain policies regarding the removal of limbs and yard waste from real property within the city of Tell City, and regarding the receipt of limbs and yard waste at a designated drop-off point within the city of Tell City. And whereas a public hearing was conducted by the Tell City Common Council on July 7th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m., and that the council has certified a recommendation to approve establishment of certain limb and yard waste collection policies and to establish a fine for any violations of said policies. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Tell City, Indiana, under the authority of Indiana statutes as follows. Section 1, limbs and yard waste will be collected by the Tell City Street Department for Tell City residents and businesses only, consisting only of limbs, leaves, grass clippings, or other vegetative material originating upon the real estate where said pickup shall occur, and separate from any other solid waste. Said yard waste shall be picked up only in weeks that recyclables are not picked up. Section 2, limbs and yard waste may not be mixed with garbage. If limbs and yard waste are mixed with garbage, the street department may refuse to pick up any items set out for collection. All leaves and vegetative material must be placed in paper or plastic bags and set out on the curb or in the alleyway. During autumn leaf collection, said leaves may be piled in yards adjacent to the curb for retrieval by the city vacuum truck rather than placed in bags. Section 3, yard waste is defined as organic waste material generated from yards within the limits of the city of Tell City and may include grass clippings, shrub clippings, leaves, weeds, flowers, garden waste, and houseplants. Limbs and brush are defined as tree and shrub waste generated from yards within the limits of the city of Tell City and consisting of limbs or branches no more than 4 inches in diameter and no longer than 6 feet in length. Section 4, tree limbs and brush must be separated from other yard waste. The city shall not be responsible for collecting more than 3 cubic yards of yard waste, which shall be defined as no more than 1 standard pickup truck load from any one location during any one collection cycle. Section 5, no material such as tree, shrubbery, or underbrush resulting from the clearing of vacant land will be picked up by the city. Said materials may not be placed curbside for pickup. All landowners and their contractors are responsible for disposing of the waste they generate at job sites related to the clearing of vacant land. Section 6, the Tell City Street Department may operate a drop-off location for tree limbs and yard waste adjacent to street department property in the city of Tell City. Said site is for the use of Tell City residents only. Said site shall not be for the use of contractors removing similar waste from locations within or without the city of Tell City. Those persons dropping off limbs or yard waste in violation of this provision shall be subject to a citation, which shall include a $500 fine per incident. Section 7, exceptions to this ordinance may be enacted by executive order of the mayor in the event of natural disasters that may result in larger volumes of limbs and yard waste. In such an event, the mayor shall have the authority to set any limits on the size or amount of limbs and yard waste that may be picked up by the street department or dropped off at the drop-off site. Passed and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Tell City, Indiana, this 7th day of July, 2025. I will note the drop-off location. There was some discussion about whether the diameter and length limits were in effect for the drop-off location. My understanding is that anybody who wants to bring their larger yard waste to the drop-off location can do that. We're just not going to pick it up at their house if it's not within those parameters.
Okay.
So that's
So-
first reading.
So, council, you got the first reading ordinance number 1226. Before we go to the second and third readings, any questions on anything in that ordinance that you have, or comments?
I've got one question, maybe 2 questions. Where do we dispose of this stuff?
I'll pass Eugene Cash's garage.
It's the old city landfill, so you know where the shooting range is for the Tell City Police Department? Just right before you get to the shooting range, on the left, there's a spot there. You cross like a little culvert bridge looking thing, and there it is.
And what is the life expectancy of that site?
Oh, we just cleared it. Did we done it twice since you've been here, right? Or just once? Okay. We just cleared it, not say cleared it, but expanded it or compacted it. I don't know the word I'm looking for. So we've got quite a while still on it. It's,
Several years.
yeah.
Do you have a shredder or, there?
A chipper.
Or do you chipper? You just load it up as it is, I see.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there a motion for second, third reading by title only?
Motion.
Motion made by Gerald, second by Brian. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So second and third reading.
All right, ordinance number 1226, ordinance establishing limb and yard waste collection and drop-off policies. Third reading, ordinance number 1226, ordinance establishing limb and yard waste collection and drop-off
All right.
policies.
So council, you've had the reading of you've had 3 readings of 1226. Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Motion made by Gerald. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mike.
I do
Any
have-
further discussion?
I do have one additional question, actually a request. Can a letter, it's probably too much to send the entire ordinance, but can we include a letter explaining this to be included in the Tell City utility bill that we sent out?
Yeah, I don't remember how many or how much space you have, like, it's like that memo part, like on the old bill, but we have a much larger
I'm
one.
talking about a separate
Oh, you want a separate? I mean,
stuffed in there.
I'm sure it can be done. I'll get a price and find out what it is, let y'all know if that's what you want to do.
Because
This will be advertised in the paper.
It's been
Yeah, it will be
advertised.
it's been advertised once, and because it has a fine, it will be advertised again.
I understand it, Jeff, but
No,
I don't take the paper.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, I don't know
Yeah.
how many subscribers I had.
The one thing is, a lot of this doesn't change what we've already been doing and have done. It just puts it in
Codifies
writing.
it. It just codifies.
In essence, there is some changes, yes.
We do have new people in town.
Right. So,
you know.
but if that's what you guys want to do, it's totally doable. I just got to find out, let me find out how, I know it's doable, let me find out the cost. Because we talked about doing that anyways with other things. When in the water department, like, I'll get a better price. I think we got a price, but I don't remember. It's
Yeah, we
been,
would have to check with them.
I'll find out. Let me make a note of that real quick. But, so we're still under further discussion.
Yeah.
Any other discussion or comments, questions? So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion's approved.
Good ordinance, Jeff. Well structured.
Well, thank you.
While we're related to that, can I just ask a question real quick? What's the number that we call to make an appointment to take our trash to the street department?
547-3222.
3222.
That's trash only.
Yeah, you can drop your cardboard.
How do you schedule the leaf pickup truck, you know, with the suction?
We have a
Just
map.
hit and miss?
Right, Tell City in the 4 areas, and we try to put it out.
They have 2 crews at work, basically, and they have a map that they put out, and he's put it on, it's called, it's a leaf, what do you call it, leaf what?
Leaf blitz.
Leaf Blitz. He calls it, and it's a map of Tell City, and it shows going north, south, east, west, and how the trucks kind of, it's hard to get an exact day. It's like, oh, we're going to be there on the next week, but if it rains, that can delay that plus or minus somewhat. So it's kind of, some of it can be a little bit of a challenge. That's the biggest problem with rain, because those leaves are soaking wet. They just, they don't soak up very well. They kind of stick to the inside.
And that's only done in the fall.
Yeah, that's only done in the fall.
If we could be more specific, then people wouldn't have it out there for a week and it
Right.
clogging everything up.
Well, I will tell you, you bring up a good thing, and I don't want to get off on our meeting too much, but as we work with an island on the smart city, and as residents sign up for it, they'll have to sign up for the notifications. We can't just send them a phone number, a text, if we don't have a contact that they want to use. We can send notifications. We can almost actually like highlight, like you would on a computer, a box, and it will send those people who sign up an email or text message or whatever they want about the leaf truck going to be in their neighborhood. They didn't sign up, they can't get the notifications, but that's up to the residents if they want that information.
Or if they don't have a smartphone.
Or if they don't have a smartphone, well, they can get it emailed to them, they can get text, I mean, it's, we'll do the best, we don't do so much without sending a letter to everyone's house and notifying them of that, and so, but yeah.
We go through the areas multiple times, so I mean, it's not like we're not gonna come back and get.
And there's a few that they will actually, they call in after, like they might have missed, or they work really well. This year, leaves were a challenge, or last year rather,
They wouldn't fall.
they wouldn't fall.
Yeah.
They didn't fall until Christmas morning, I think. I mean, they had a hard time with it, so they did the best they could. I do know that, so. All right, so that ends old business under the ordinance part there. So the next, we have item B is the discussion of the 2025 legislative impact services with Baker Tilly. I'm just going to give my recommendation, and you guys can take it for what it's worth. I did attend a mayor's roundtable up in Huntingburg week before last, and we talked about this impact study. And Ames wanted to know if, has anybody had this study done yet, because they'd like a copy of it and kind of see what's going on here. And
It came up at the municipal lawyers meeting too.
And after having the legislator here at the last meeting, I think we need to table it for now, the study, and see what happens. I know we want to look at the Lowit thing, but that's not until 27, Connie? 27.
27.
But I mean, some changes could happen between then.
Yeah.
I mean, from what the legislature told us, the impact wasn't as bad as we thought. Connie and I met with him after the meeting, and I met with him up in Huntingburg briefly even.
Phone number for this,
And so I would think just temporary, put it on hold. That's just my thoughts. But you guys do what you want. Connie, what do you, I mean, you set budgets too.
I agree with that. I think until we get actually into the budgets and see how much it really is going to affect us. In sitting in on some other meetings and meeting with the representative the other day, and getting information from AIM, I think we just need to hold off for a little bit on this.
So, it's up
I
to-
think the consensus of the municipal law seminar was don't panic yet.
Yeah.
They did say, they did add the yet, but they said don't panic
Don't
yet.
Yeah.
So it's the council's decision. You
But
guys
yes.
set the budget. It's something you all work on and approve. Connie and I, the department's all prepared for you guys to consider and make changes to it, but it's totally up to you. I just, from what I'm hearing and discussions I've had, I don't want us to spend anything when we don't have to necessarily yet, or maybe at all. And some of these numbers was 5,000 on up to 35, 25? something like that?
There were a couple of them.
30, up to 30. So little was 5 up to 30. Yeah. And like I said, the local income tax analysis, that was 5,000, not to exceed 5,000. We don't have to do it today, because there could be changes to legislator before that even gets to that point. And I don't want to spend 5 if they change it back or do something different. And they may not. But we'll know more in a year on that.
Right.
Or we can wait till springtime next year to do that.
You make a motion to table it.
Motion by Gerald, second by Mike. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, next item is item C, tax abatement request. This is for River Point Retail LLC. If you remember, we did table that one from last time because I think you had some questions regarding the lease of one of the areas
Yes.
in there.
And I did find out that the company that, the business that was leasing was in there and moved out around May the 1st. So they were in there as of January 1 of this year. And
Okay.
that's what this is for taxes payable next year then. So.
So can you do a half a year? I know taxes are due, and you get through the whole year?
No, you gotta, no.
Okay.
So this would be.
Oh, that's right, because it was January 1st.
Correct,
I
this
see what
is
you're
for
saying.
next
Yes,
year's
they get a
taxes.
business.
Next year's
Unless
taxes.
they get, yeah, and if they don't get anything in there, then they will not get this the following year then.
Right. So is there a motion to approve or
Motion to approve.
not? Okay, motion made by Larry to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, moving on. Item,
Chris, I just want to,
yeah.
I read the summary on this stuff that I think the senator left with us at the last meeting. Connie emailed it out,
Yes, I did.
and I printed it. There is one provision in here on the local option income tax that goes into effect May the 10th of 2025, or went into effect. No, excuse me, that goes into effect. It prohibits local units from bonding against more than 25% of their LIT certified distribution for debt issued after May 10th, 2025. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Is that going to affect us?
No, because we've already
We've
have
already
our
bonded it.
Yeah.
debt established.
We've already
done
bonded it.
Okay.
Yeah, we already did that last
Okay.
year,
Okay.
and it's a 2-year bond,
Okay.
so.
And the way they're wanting to do the lit now is you'd have to establish it every year, basically, right?
That's the law, that's the law.
Yeah, and that's going to make it extremely, if not impossible, to bond.
Yes.
That's where I've said there may be changes. We don't know, so that's why I hate to spend money on something we don't have to yet unless that changes. It may. Or they're going to get clarity on it. at
You
least.
have more faith in the legislature than I do.
I try to be positive, easy, happy, go.
Yeah, it'll all turn out.
There's going to be a lot of municipal howling. So
Well-
I would say if there ever were going to be changes, it would be because somebody howls.
We can work with stuff, we just need to know a clear answer and stick to it and get done and go with it. You know, it's,
Okay.
okay, moving on. Item A under new business, additional appropriations. Council should have a copy of additional appropriations here. Connie, do you have anything specific you want me to highlight in it?
Just that the Lowell Public Safety Police Car, we did get a motion of intent at the special meeting that we had, that they will approve this $35,000, and this was to purchase that new vehicle now to replace the 2 that we had to decommission.
And we got some insurance or something out of that one, didn't we?
Correct.
12 or 13,000?
Yes.
Something like that, 12.
Yes, went
13
towards this
something.
purchase price.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're getting a police car, not a police.
Well, I actually got a truck.
Actually, a
We got a
truck.
truck.
We bought it-
Really?
we bought it-
Sorry, but that's
saw-
how it's titled.
We
is
bought
police
it
car.
used from the town of Troy.
I saw Hamilton had one. I was like,
Low
"We need
mileage.
one of those."
We have a couple of trucks. We have 2 or 3 already.
Yeah.
And this, I think there's 2 or 3 already we have.
There's two, this will make three.
3, yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
thinking. But Troy had one, that was just, what, a year or 2 old?
23, I think.
23.
Yeah,
And it
and-
had 7,000
I was gonna say, it
miles
had
on
almost
I
no
think.
miles. Somebody'd have to drive
Was
in
able to get
circles around
Dave-
Troy for a month to.
Troy gave us
But they
Troy
did
gave
that.
us a very good price on it. And so we're very happy to get it for that and to replace the other vehicle. So we couldn't have asked for, I guess you'd say, a better outcome on something that was, bad in the situation where we had to replace it because it was wrecked. Computer equipment, so you'll see the $4,426 on that, sports complex
The computer equipment for what, where?
here. Part of this new streaming system
System.
is in some of that. We haven't got the final bill on it. We just finished putting it in last week and today, some updates. So that's part of that, and there was something else, I can't remember, Connie. what-
It was, we had been carrying computer equipment all the time, and this, we'll use it for this, and then whatever else comes up for departments that we need new computer
Well,
equipment for.
we also
between-
talked about that scanners, maybe even
Correct, yes.
the map scanning. I don't know if you remember us talking about it, probably
Yeah.
not. I don't know if we
That's
even
right, I
started.
forgot, yeah.
We're gonna get a scanner, that way we to scan all of our maps and blueprints that we've had from now, currently now most are digital, but
Okay.
15 years ago, we'll have digital maps of all our blueprints of the wastewater plant, any projects that's happened, and they'll be able to be dropped at a pinpoint where it was on this smart city, digitizing.
Okay. Sports complex, 14,500.
The sports complex, that is for the operating supplies, such as all the food and all of that for the concession stand. And this is the fund now that I have established where when we collect money at the concession stand, that is put into this fund.
You're talking about, not the coronavirus one, right? You're talking about
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's two of them
Did
on
I
there, that's why he was
answer-
confused.
sorry.
I'm sorry, did I answer you
the
wrong?
14,000 he's talking about. That's just for the general
Oh,
equipment out
I'm
there, right?
sorry. Yes, that's just for the sports
Construction.
construction.
And I don't need it tonight, but would you be able to provide us a total amount of how much in ARP funds that the city spent on the sports complex? Do you have that itemized?
It was 500,000, I know
Yes, 500
that.
It was 500,000 plus this 14,506.
Okay.
And that will be the amount that was spent out of ARP funding for the sports
For the
complex.
sports complex.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Was that 500,000 plus this additional that
Okay.
we have?
And then the ready funds were 600,000?
600 or 610?
Yes. Something, it was 600.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Which were also really ARP funds, or state ARP funds.
Which we didn't
In
have
essence.
them here, though, that all went through
Yeah.
different.
I understand.
It did go through our books,
I
but
understand.
yes.
So well over $1 million of ARP funds went into the development of the sports complex.
And that's what I was talking about, how other mayors, while I think they had intentions to do it, the funding was an issue. We got lucky where the funding was there for this kind of stuff, and with the help of PCDC, which they helped a lot getting some of those ready funds. The project may not have been able to happen had it not been for those. I mean, that was a bad thing that happened, COVID. We all won't disagree that it was terrible, but if there's a positive side to come out of it, sports complexes and several other things is some of the things. You have to try to have
Yeah,
a silver
which
lining.
Were federal funds that were made available to the city.
Yep.
We did have another city mayor here checking us out. Want to know how we did it.
Yeah. And other
He
mayors.
was looking it over because they want to build one. So,
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other comments on the additional appropriations? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Philip, second by
I'll second it.
Gerald. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All
I
right.
will pass this down for signatures.
Transfers is the next one. This is, okay. What's the resolution number, Connie?
2025-14.
Thank you. All right, so a resolution by the Tell City Common Council to make necessary transfers between classification within the general budget. This is transfer to the police department from the police extra services to the police reserves. I don't remember what that was for. Was it uniforms?
Yes.
Okay,
I don't.
all right.
Is this the number of the account?
That's where we pay for uniforms out.
I mean, this is when you look at that
Yes,
budget,
it's
that's the
coming out.
line item number.
Correct,
Okay.
correct, yes.
I don't have it. Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
Yes.
Connie, could you clarify something for me, please?
Well, I will try.
I thought I read somewhere that we have to adopt an ordinance to place it in effect. But I thought that the clerk treasurer could be authorized to do transfers on their
Within-
own if it's within a major category.
I think that is out there. I have just always continued on how it was done in the past. Before I become clerk treasurer, the clerk treasurer always did bring all the transfers to the council. If that's something the council wants me to look into and start doing, that is fine with me.
I mean, the money's already been approved by the
Correct,
council.
correct, yes.
We really don't, or I for one, really don't care how it's used within that category. Rather than,
Well, I mean, bringing it to you guys does show some transparency and
Yes, there's some transparency there. We got to make the determination of just how transparent.
'Cause it is a change from-
$2,500, I get it, it's not a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
there's been other ones much
I
larger
would,
than that.
I would be
Yeah.
I would be leery of Connie doing a $250,000 transfer based upon an ordinance that.
well, Jeff, but that could be put in an ordinance.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I
that's,
mean, we've had transfers for $10 or whatever.
Yes,
in the past, so-
year end, there's a lot of little transfers
Yeah, yeah,
that are
yeah.
done, yes,
So,
to get line items out of the
Okay.
road.
and there is a statute that enables that. I'll need to look at it, but I take your point, absolutely.
Okay, so, we've had first resolution and only one you need to have for, is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Motion by Larry, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mike, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, under new business, item C is a conflict of interest
Yes, you gotta
disclosure.
sign that. There you go.
This one here is for Roger Smith. He's Lieutenant Detective for the Tell City Police Department. Contractors and vendors, he is adding Lot Logic, a division of Brooks Lawn Care LLC, Brooks Lawn Care LLC, and R&B Smith Auction Services. So what this is a parking lot striping business. I guess is the best, easiest way to describe it, ain't it?
Yeah.
And it's a division of the lawn care business. So he's just doing the conflict of interest.
Adding.
And adding it to it. So you just got to prove it.
What's it for?
Motion.
A new striping, he's gonna stripe parking lots and that, so he may, want to do some for the
Okay.
city or something.
I just didn't hear it.
So we got a motion made by Brian to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Philip. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Now move on to Mayor's report. Do a report on River Road project. We've not talked a whole lot about this, but I just, remember, you almost want to call it the easiest thing that people know what I'm talking about, the road to nowhere. You've heard that many times on Facebook, so just want to call it that because it's not the appropriate name, but they'll know what I'm talking about. This is a road directly across from the Patio Restaurant there on 66. That road was developed back when Barb Ewing was mayor. I don't know if it was in her first or second term or kind of in the middle. It was built and it was barricaded up and has been barricaded up ever since. And against the name Road to Nowhere. Well, the Road to Nowhere is going to somewhere. And so they have been working on this road now. They started earlier this year, I guess, right before, well, the flooding. So a little before April, it seems like. Maybe even a little bit time before that, but
Who's they?
well, the port, I can't, who got the bid on that, Connie?
It's either CNR or ENB.
Okay, but that's under the Port Authority.
Yes, it's under port, correct.
Okay.
But here's where the city comes into it, because we have put up the match, there was a grant that paid for a lot of this, for sidewalks to it, a walking trail extension. So currently, when you go to the walking trail behind the flood wall, if you're going south. And there's like a chain link fence that dead ends it right at, would be the Boat Works or the Maxim Marine site. That chain link will be gone. That sidewalk or that walking trail will now extend all the way along River Road. It's either 4 or 5 foot sidewalk. I don't remember the exact width of it. It will be lit with street lights. We'll go all the way to the patio. That sidewalk will, or that walking trail. So it's exciting. This will be done this year.
Be fenced off on the Port Authority?
There will be some type of a barrier there, yes. I don't know what that is. I can't remember. Yeah, there is some type of a fence or something. So there'll be like a, I guess you call it like a chute almost that you'd
Is it
walk
going to
through.
follow the old railroad track? Is that the-
Pretty much, yeah. It should, yeah. I think so. I haven't.
That's been removed, hasn't it?
Some of it has, yeah. The railroad has been removed. Has it been removed up there? They removed a spur, I thought, or something.
Okay.
But they've relocated water lines, they've moved electric. There's been a tremendous amount of work. All this started when 1st of April, when that river went up and kind of, put like a foot or two of water in some areas on it and wait for that to recede and kind of dry out. But they have been moving a lot of dirt. So if you hear about it or see truckloads of dirt, that's why. And that's my understanding, it should be done this fall.
How wide?
How wide? Sidewalks?
Yeah.
I want to say it was 4 or 5 feet, but I want to say it was like 5. But I don't recall off the top of my head.
No, vehicles wouldn't be. I mean,
No, but
bicycles.
I'm gonna take that wrapper from you.
Skateboards.
Making a lot of noise over there. Do what now?
Bicycles.
Yeah, bicycles. Now, there will be a new road, obviously, for truck traffic,
For vehicles?
for semis. Because when the port unloads, currently they're taking these semis, driving down Main Street, driving down 9th Street and Gutenberg and Bloom. And those streets, while they're built, they're not necessarily built for some of that weight. And if you look on 9th Street there in about the 200 block, some of those heavy trucks have already started to break up that road in some areas. And that was paved 2.5 to 3 years ago almost now.
And this new road is gonna be stout enough to,
Oh, God, yeah.
And it's
yeah,
gonna,
absolutely.
they're gonna enter from 66 up there by patio, so they're gonna stay off of our city streets.
Is it going to be above the floodplain or? is
They've
it
raised it up in some
flood-
areas, I thought, but I don't remember. I look at kind of like she sat in these meetings, and she's not.
I wasn't at a meeting.
You were, I know. In some areas, it is different elevations. That helps keep some of that out. So
Right.
this is a great project. I just wanted to update you a little bit on it. It's something that's, I know it's actually the county is, I think, the applicant on the grant. I think that's how, is that right, Connie? Do you remember that now?
They were, yes.
I think they are now.
They are
That I look
on
at her,
that
she knows
project.
about.
Yes. Yes.
Poor Connie. She knows this everything, too.
Too many things.
I know Larry did talk briefly about the hospital. We did have an on-site meeting with the demolition crew, the Complete Demolition Services, I think is the name of it. Just kind of a progress. They are behind on schedule, so we're going to have to do some extensions, and we're getting those together now to sign it. By the end of this week, the entire structure should be down. Then it comes to the sorting, they're moving. They've got to clear trees. They've got on the side where that concrete gets turned into rock, gravel, in essence, and gets compacted. And there's a lot that has to be done. And then, of course, the steel will get scrapped, hauled off, and just making sure things like they took down the parking lot lights. They were supposed to stay, not where the building was, those came down, but on the outside were supposed to remain in place. Well, they took them down. I don't know why, but they did. So we're going to request them put them back up. Because if we'd ever want to light that, they cut the wires and everything, we could have energized that again and actually provided light net for security or whatever if we needed to. So that's some things like that's going to happen. But I think it was September is what we're extending it to. Originally, it was supposed to be done, like end of June, I think.
End of May
So-
is what they first said.
Huh?
End of May is what they
Yeah.
first said, so.
So it's been kind of dragging out, but
Weather offsets to start, but
Well, yeah.
the weather's cooperated now.
you wouldn't believe how deep when you go on the site, which you're not allowed to go on that site, so don't go up there and just start wandering around unless you notify me or I can get you in touch with them, because you have to wear a hard hat, and it is a demolition construction site, and there's some dangers up there, but how deep that basement was on the, I would say the new part, but the parking lot side, my goodness, we looked down in there, it's like, you've been in the hospital, but I guess elevations just didn't look that deep, but it is. So they've got a lot of work still to do, just want to update you on it. I do want to thank you all for coming to the sports complex. I think everybody was there, and thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you again. I know I've talked about this in the speech, but it means so much to me, and I know it means a lot to Steve and the parks and everybody in this community to have this complex. And thank you guys for volunteering. I'll sign the rest of you up later. Put you on the grill. No. We are looking for volunteers if anybody's interested in helping the concessions or just overall help. I mean, we can't thank Steve Parker enough. When I say he's put it in hours, I'm not kidding when I say 80. I bet 90 hours. He worked this weekend out there. When everybody else is, not everybody, but a lot of people are off work.
Overtime
Nope.
He's a salary employee.
Salary.
should be tax-free now, so.
My guess, I don't know the whole process in that, but I mean, I just want to say, just thank you to Steve and his
It's a
crew.
labor of
And
love.
everybody, this complex wouldn't have happened either without the council support. It took your all's blessing to approve all that, and so I just want to thank you. So, that's all I have under mayor's report that I've got notes down, so if there's nothing else to come before, I'll entertain a motion then to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Larry, second by Mike, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned.